Well, today we have invited a special guest, and the reason why is because it's a topic that keeps getting asked to me. Basically, what is an arranged marriage? Is it forced? Is it not? So, to explain this better, I've invited Brother Naseem on again, and because he can explain to me how what it actually means in the Islamic way. So before we don't want to waste any more time, so we'll just go straight into it.
Also a trustee on a few charities, especially UKEF, UK Education and Faith Foundation. Give them a plug.
Which is where it is?
It's based in Oldham, Oldham Sharif on Yorkshire Street.
Oldham, yeah. Postcode?
OL1 1SR.
Because everybody goes to postcodes, isn't it? That's why.
Yeah, just directly opposite Florida Chicken.
No, further on. Opposite Montana.
Montana, that's it.
Yeah.
Opposite
I wanted to talk about charity. Congratulations. It's been 10 years of your charity now.
Alhamdulillah.
That's good.
Piece of paper. It's only a piece of paper. I love you. Love is more important. Da-di-da-di-da. And all the rest of it. And then they don't tie the knot, which means they're not going to take the responsibility. And that's why you end up with 13, 14, 15-year-old girls, single moms, sometimes with not just one child, but 3 or 4 different children from different men.
Next question. Are forced marriages allowed in Islam?
No.
Literally not allowed at all?
Not allowed. What is a forced marriage? You're forcing someone to sit down and get married?
I was just about to ask you that then.
Yeah.
What's the difference between arranged marriage and forced marriage? Because some people think that arranged marriage is a forced marriage. So you already explained this, but what is the correct way of getting married to someone if you like someone?
You need to speak to your parents.
In Islam, how many marriages are allowed and why for men and women? Hating a partner, right? Is it allowed in Islam or not?
Not
so basically,
allowed.
she's not cooked right, or she's not cooking the round rotiga.
Yeah.
Right.
The way that you need to look at it is that if that was your daughter and she was married to somebody and she didn't cook right and she got hit for something, would you be okay with that?
Are divorces allowed in Islam? If yes, what's the correct way? Men and women. First, we'll start with men.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot more questions. Next question. Are forced marriages allowed in Islam?
No.
Literally not allowed at all?
Not allowed. What is a forced marriage? You're forcing someone to sit down and get married?
I was just about to ask you that then.
Yeah.
What's the difference between arranged marriage and forced marriage? Because some people think that arranged marriage is a forced marriage. It's not.
If somebody is forced to get married to anybody, it is absolutely disallowed in Islam.
In Islam.
Khalas. There is absolutely no second opinion.
Difference
on that.
between arranged and...
Arranged basically means that
I know you've already explained.
My daughter comes to me and says, I like someone, or my son says to me, look, there's a family that I'd like to get married. Or my brother comes to me and says, I've seen someone and I think it might be a good family.
Keep that in mind.
And basically, can you speak to them? Or I've come to my daughter, or I've gone to my son, or I've said to my brother that, look, there is a proposition. It might be worth considering. Would you like us to? It's a matchmaking scheme, basically. You'd go and do the due diligence. You do all the prerequisites, and you would arrange that marriage.
Yeah.
All marriages should be arranged by the heads of the family, the family elders. If the heads of the families are not arranging the marriages, the marriage, most cases, will break down.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you've got a problem, who are you going to turn to? You're going to turn to her family or your family. If the families are not on the same page, then why would they want your marriage to work?
So just say if they do get married and everything, right? Through the family wise and everything, right? And something does go wrong. And you go back to these people and they say that we're not bothered, we're not interested, you're old enough to make your mind.
Why would they? That's because they haven't understood the responsibility.
Yeah, I know some cases they have done that.
Even the witnesses that Islam, prescribes in the marriage contract, the witness's job is not just to witness you getting married. The witnesses are intermediaries that you can turn to and rely upon if they only knew what a witness means when there is a problem.
Yeah.
Those are the people that you turn to. Your parents are the people that you turn to. Your brother who arranged the marriage would be the person that you would turn to. Why would you not do that?
Yeah.
And if the families all get on really well, then you can talk about things openly and you'll find a solution. Sometimes it might be just a case of grabbing you and your wife and banging their heads together and say, listen,
that's all it takes, yeah.
Sort it out. What you're doing. What you're playing at. Both of you are wrong. That's all it takes sometimes.
True.
But when we don't do that, we give leeway to divorce.
Okay, so basically, arranged marriages are where parents get together and organize it. Even if the guy likes a girl or the other way around, right? He tell their parents.
Yep.
They arrange it
Yep.
to get together and have a discussion with each parent.
Absolutely.
They see each other,
Yeah.
how they are and everything, and
It could take a year to find out whether the proposition is right or wrong.
yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean that you've met them twice and that's it, end of story. Now we're going to get married. It can, your due diligence process. Look, you're getting two people married.
Yeah.
That marriage is going to last forever, inshallah.
Inshallah, yeah.
Okay. Why do you want to do it within a week? Why have you got a time scale on it?
Why rush it?
Why are you rushing it? What is it that you want? You want to get it over and done with quickly. What's wrong with you? If you were setting up a business, you would put all your effort in finding out how much money you're going to make, what's the location going to be, what am I going to sell, how am I going to sell it, what's my pricing structure, what's my route to market, who are my target audience. You'll be thinking of all these questions.
Yep.
But when you come to a marriage, what you're not even going to look at, well, hang on a minute, what kind of family has she got? Yeah, no,
Exactly.
you know what? She's beautiful, I'm just going to marry her.
Yeah.
What kind of nonsense is that?
Some people do that, don't they? But they also, what they do is, once they're married, they forget the parents.
Well, that's another topic, another YouTube video, that one.
You can come in, you know. Well, obviously, that's up to you if you want to come on the camera. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay, you said about arranged marriages. What are forced marriages, obviously, which are not allowed?
Forced marriages is basically literally a case of you're coercing your child to get married. You force them. You mentally blackmail them, emotionally blackmail them in order to get married. You can say, well, if you don't get married, I'm going to kill myself. Then people have said that they force them and say, if you do this, if you get married, I'll allow you to do this. That's all blackmail. It's emotional blackmail.
Similar to East.
Yeah, that's another good example.
I had to put a bit of comedy into it.
The thing with it is that, joking aside, the imam, when the imam is asking, are you happy with this marriage? If you're not happy, you should say no.
You have the right.
We have the right to say no.
In Islam,
You need to have the courage to be able to stand up for your right, because there is no room for forced marriages.
Okay, so basically,
And it's not just it's not an Islamic thing. It's a cultural thing, and it started in Britain. Okay, gone into Europe, and then it's gone in and transgressed into India and Pakistan and places like that. It's a cultural thing where women were also considered the lower caste in Britain, and it goes back to the 17th century, 16th century,
Wow.
and 18th century. It didn't start in India and Pakistan.
Okay.
This is what our mentality is. We basically, when women were forced to do things in this country, and they were considered as second-class citizens, and man could do whatever they wanted with them. When the British went to India, the ethos was then passed on to them, so they started doing exactly the same thing.
Okay.
The Indians started to do it. So it's not a Pakistani thing. It's not an Indian thing. It came from Britain. It started in Europe. That's where we need to start looking at.
Some people blame. I mean, if you ask an Asian or something, right? They say, "Oh, our Islam doesn't allow you have to do it this way." You know, forced marriages.
What do you mean?
That's what they
we
say,
have to
don't-
say. We have to do
Basically,
it.
someone says, "Why are you getting your kids married? Why are you forcing them?" Or our culture says to do it.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
their
basically,
culture.
this is wrong.
Might be their culture, but they don't have a clue.
They don't have a clue. So you already explained this, but what is the correct way of getting married to someone if you like someone?
You need to speak to your parents.
You need to speak to parents and they look into it, basically.
Yeah,
It could take time.
yeah, and go through
But
the process.
It will happen.
Yeah, go through the process, the proper process, and inshallah ta'ala, you know what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless that marriage. If you follow the proper process, you will have a very, very happy marriage. If you don't follow the process, you won't. It's like with anything, whether it's a car, if you haven't followed the proper process, you bought a car, it turns out to be a banger because you haven't checked it out.
Because you...
Same thing?
Sorry, I'm just interrupting you. It's because you look into it more carefully, innit? That's why. No, I just want a drink.
No, we're going to have some food now, so.
After... No, I don't want no food. I've eaten. I'll have a cup of tea. But not yet, after. Okay?
Should we pause and have food and then come back? What do you think?
No, we'll continue this. Because once I stop, then it's getting back into it. The emotion is there. Okay.
All right, can't we just pause it and no?
No, we can, but we're not got many questions left now.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it, but it depends how quickly you want to answer them. In Islam, how many marriages are allowed and why? From when for men and women?
In today's society,
First of all, men
men, yeah. In today's society, only one marriage is allowed.
in
In
Islam.
today's society, yeah, Islamically speaking. If you look at the problems that men have got today, Allah Rabbul Alameen in the Quran says you can marry one, you can marry two, you can marry three, you can marry four. However, if you cannot be just with them all, then you need to only marry one.
Just as in
Just as in
equal.
no, equality's got nothing to do with it.
Okay.
You treat everyone with justice. You make sure that you are just. If one of your wives likes saris, the other one likes salwar kameez, what are you going to do? Buy them all salwar kameez? Or are you going to buy them all saris?
Basically,
No.
you keep them happy in a way.
You
Basically.
keep them. You basically make sure that you adhere to your responsibilities to all of them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees that the part that everyone misses is that if you are not able to be just, then only marry one. We all think that we can be just. How can we be just? It's really, really difficult. It's not impossible. It's very difficult to be just with. So you're going to buy them a house, which they all like, if they want a house. You've got to financially support them all. Yeah. So if you're very, very wealthy, and you can, and they're quite happy to live either separately or they're happy to live together. They understand the values of having multiple wives, etc. And then you know what your plan is for multiple children. Then of course you can go marry. However, Allah Rabbul Alameen makes it very clear: marry one, marry two, marry three, marry four. But if you cannot be just with them, then marry one.
Okay.
So let's get one marriage right first. That's what Allah's saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Get one marriage right first before you start talking about 2, 3, 4. And the problem is, in today's society, we can't.
And this is the guy we're talking about, right? So is he allowed to obviously marry for obviously to be justice with them, or basically keeping it the right way, right? But can he just marry just for fun or love, or because he's got something wrong with the ex one, or basically
He can get married for whatever reason he wants to.
in Islam?
But the condition is he must be just.
Just okay.
And Allah is saying that you can't be just.
Okay,
It's
that-
very hard to be
that
just.
answers the question. What about for women?
Women can only marry once.
One at a time. Okay. We're going to talk about the divorces, but we'll go to that at the end. Okay. That's men and women. Okay. Hating a partner, right? Is it allowed in Islam or not?
Not
So basically,
allowed.
she's not cooked right, or she's not cooking the round rotiga.
Yeah.
Right.
The way that you need to look at it is that if that was your daughter and she was married to somebody and she didn't cook right and she got hit for something, would you be okay with that?
I'll step in.
Why would you step in? It's got nothing to do with you. She's married now.
Yeah, but still my daughter.
Right, precisely. That girl that you've married is someone's daughter.
But then that's the parents' fault for choosing that person.
Why?
No. As in, if he's a beating up person or he's a bad person, right? And you've given your daughter that person, and you're still going to give it to that person.
And he's got a
And he's
history
got
of violence.
Yes, you don't give that person in the first place.
Well, if you've done your due diligence properly, then you won't get married to her. Then
No.
you wouldn't allow that to happen, would you?
Exactly. Yeah, you look into it properly, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. How was our prophet with their wives? Wife or wives?
Wives. Nabi
Okay.
sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam was the best of characters. He was impeccable in character. In fact, if you look at the narrations of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala, and the youngest of his wives, she used to say that he is the walking, talking Quran.
Okay, I've heard that one before.
You know, and she documented so many narrations of so much intricate detail about the Prophet ﷺ, the way he walked, the way he slept, the way he talked. You know, the little apartment that they lived in, or cubicle that they lived in,
Okay.
was so small that if Rasulullah ﷺ wanted to pray there, and if Aisha radiallahu ta'ala, and if she was there, and she was sleeping, he wouldn't even disturb her. He would move her legs out of the way to pray, and then he'd do sujood there, he'd pray there, eat there. You know, all the things that they would do. He looked after his wives. He really cared for them, and he went the extra mile. And this is what I'm saying. He showed us how to do it. The problem we've got is we don't look at Islam as a system of life. We use and abuse Islam as and when we want to.
Okay.
We take snippets. This is what Allah says. Well, hang on. Really? Look at the whole holistic element of it.
Yeah.
They don't look at everything. They just look at one part.
So you said they had wives.
Yeah, multiple
Why
wives.
did they get married 4 times? It was 4 times?
No, he got married more than that. In that,
Yeah?
yeah, he had
4 at a time.
no. He had I think nine wives at one time.
Okay.
Nabi
So
Sallallahu
how
Alaihi
come
Wasallam.
we're only allowed 4?
Because Allah Rabbul Alameen gave us a restriction.
All right.
Nabi Sallallahu Ta'ala Alaihi Wasallam didn't have any restriction. The deen was still being completed.
Right.
Okay, so the before that, there was no limit on how many you could have.
Okay.
When the ayah came down that you can only have 4, marry 1, 2, 3 and 4, this instruction was for all those people after Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The people who had multiple wives at the time the ayah came down, they weren't asked to divorce the rest of the wives. They kept them. But Allah Rabbul Alameen, the point I'm making is that we're missing the actual instruction in the verse. The instruction is be just with them.
Yeah.
And if you can't be just, marry just the one. We keep looking at the numbers. Oh, I can marry 2, I can marry 3, I can marry 4.
This is why I point this out for that reason.
We keep getting it wrong. We take the ayah incorrectly, out of context. We need to look at the ayah, what it's saying, and look at the instruction that Allah has given to you. You cannot be just, marry 1.
Right.
That's the question we need to repeatedly ask ourselves. Am I going to be just? Am I going to be just? Am I going to be just? It's so difficult. And justice comes in different forms. You know, if you've got one wife and she's got 2 children and they're perfectly healthy, alhamdulillah. The second wife, and she's got girls. The second wife, she's got 2 boys. How are you going to be just with the both? You have to give that the boys the time, the girls the time. Then you've got a third wife and she's got 2 disabled children. What are you going to do then? They're going to require a lot more time from you.
It's mine.
Yeah?
Yeah, sorry, just going to quickly answer this. Sorry about this. Assalamu alaikum.
No
I'm
cut
just on the
tower.
podcast right now. Sorry about that, guys, but you know...
There you go. No cuts out. You're going to have to cut that out.
I'm not cutting that part out.
Okay, good.
Anyway.
Right, so it's very difficult to be just with all and everyone. You're going to give equal time. You have to give the time which is relative to that person. So if it's the boys, you're going to be wanting to play football with them. You might want to be playing basketball. You might want to go swimming. If it's the girls, they might want to go horse riding. I'm just giving you simple answers, examples. But how are you going to be just, and how are you going to spend justice, or how are you going to spend your time amongst all these families that you've got? And you're going to do it properly, and you're going to deliver that properly, because Allah Rabbul Alameen is going to hold you to account for that.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what we keep forgetting, don't we?
We keep forgetting.
How did that question again? How did our Prophet deal? How was he with his wives?
Well, he was phenomenal. I mean, he would give them time. He would do all the things that they wanted. He would go around from one wife to the second wife, the third wife, the fourth wife. He would do exactly what is required of him. He was very just with everybody, with all his wives. He gave them time. He also, this is the proof, you see. The living proof is that because the Prophet ﷺ did it, it's not impossible. So that's why I said it's not impossible.
Right.
But it's very, very, very difficult.
How did they have the patience?
Yeah.
That's one of the things, patience.
We don't even, we feel sometimes, we don't have enough hours in the day. We wake up in the morning, we have some breakfast, we go to work, come back, and next minute, it's 8 o'clock at night and it's time to go to bed. You do all your salahs in between and that's it. Time's finished.
Yeah. Time flies. 1 minute the kids like babies, next minute
they're all grown up.
They get married.
Yep. There you go.
That's right. Okay, so basically he was good with his wives and he treated them all equal.
Well,
just.
Yeah.
How men and women should be treated the Islamic way by the partners?
Well, I think that's another podcast on its own.
Go ahead. Got plenty of time.
No, I haven't. The roti's getting cold.
Okay, a couple more questions after this.
Yeah. So the answer to that is that if you're just with your partner, you'll always look for justice. You don't suppress your partner's feelings, your spouse's feelings, because you think you're right. Ultimately, it's an ego issue.
Okay.
If you can control your ego in your relationship, both of you, man and woman, and one thing that my teacher said to me, subhanallah, he said, when you're studying Islam and you want to study marriage, do not study the roles and responsibilities of your spouse. Yeah?
Okay.
Study the roles and responsibilities of yourself towards your spouse.
Okay.
So what is it that I need to do for my spouse?
Right.
If you studied that, but unfortunately what happens today is when we study Islam, we only study Islam to issue fatwas on other people. We don't issue the fatwa on ourselves. We need to study Islam to find out what my role is, what my responsibility is towards my spouse.
It's like that. That reminds me of something else. But it's like basically when you're pointing at someone else, you forget that you get three fingers pointing back at you.
Yeah, they say that, but it's
Basically, don't judge others. And look at yourself first. On that.
yeah.
Okay. One question left. Because your daughter's getting cold.
Yeah.
Are divorces allowed in Islam? If yes, what's the correct way? Men and
Okay.
women. First, we'll start with men.
Yeah. Well, the procedure is the same. Well, it's slightly different if a woman wanted a divorce. If she's...
Sorry to stop you. You know, men they say talaq, talaq, talaq. Is it done?
yeah, no, it's not done.
What's the correct way? I know you've told me this before off camera,
Yeah.
but I wanted to know on camera.
So the correct way of doing this is that if you've tried mediation, you've tried a reconciliation meeting, you need to call all your friends, relatives, anybody who can assist,
Yeah.
talk about it, marriage counselling if you want to go for marriage counselling. So say you've done all that. Then you've got to separate your bedrooms. So you would not have any intimate relationship with your wife.
For a few months.
Right? Whether it's 1 month or 2 months or whatever. Basically, it's up until her next cycle.
Right.
You've got to wait that time. When she has come off her next cycle, so she's at the moment she's clean, she's not menstruating. So what will happen is the menstrual cycle will start in say 4 weeks' time. For the 4 weeks, you separate from her. After the menstrual cycle has come on and menstrual cycle is finished, then you call 2 witnesses and you would pronounce the first talaq. All right? If you wrote it down, it doesn't matter, but you can pronounce it in front of the 2 witnesses. Now, the next 3 months and 10 days, she would stay in the house with you
Okay.
as your wife, but you can't have any intimacy with her.
Okay.
Right? If you have any intimacy with her, or if you both decide to have intimacy, that means you've made up.
Right.
The talaq's cancelled.
And then what happens the next day? You want a talaq again?
You can't. You have to wait now, do all the
Another 3
process
months
again.
again. Okay.
So those 3 months and 10 days is known as iddah.
Okay. Don't they do that? Sorry to stop it. Don't they do that after divorce?
No, that is after divorce. I've said talaq to my wife in front of the 2 witnesses, and
Okay.
this is after the divorce. So
Right,
I've
right.
pronounced the talaq. Now she has to stay with me for 3 months and 10 days. If we both decide, that we're making up and we make up whether we have any intimacy or not, the talaq is cancelled. If we have intimacy, the talaq is also cancelled. All right.
Okay.
Now the 3 months and 10 days has passed, and we haven't had any intimacy. Now she's divorced, and I'm divorced from her. Either I leave the house or she leaves the house, because now marriage is finished, and we are not husband and wife any longer. So it's haram for us to stay in the same house.
Okay.
She's moved on, moved into another house, or I've moved on. 6 months go by.
Okay.
A year goes
This is what I was
by.
going to ask you then. Go on.
6 months go by, a year goes by, and both of us decide that, you know what, we made a mistake. We want to get back together. You are allowed to do another nikah. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 232.
Sorry to stop you again. This is like one talaq, innit? Then the next.
Talaq, whether you say once or whether you say 6
right,
times,
right.
in the first instance, how many nikahs are you breaking?
Yeah. So basically, even if you say talaq, class is one talaq.
Yeah, because talaq is, well, how many nikahs are you breaking?
Yeah.
How many nikahs are there? Did you have 3 nikahs with that woman?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You had 1.
Yeah.
So how many nikahs are you breaking? Just the 1. So whether you say, if the imam says to you, Kabul hai, Kabul hai, Kabul hai, how many nikahs is he doing? 1 or 3?
Just the one.
Just the 1 nikah.
Yeah.
So if you say talaq, which you shouldn't be saying anyway, right? Then you've only done 1 nikah with her, so you're only breaking 1 nikah.
Yeah.
Okay? So therefore, literally, and the other thing is, if you've not done your prerequisites properly, then that talaq, it doesn't matter. It's just a rifle. And if you can't control, as a man, you can't control that 3-inch piece of meat in your mouth by saying those things, then in my eyes, you're not a man.
Yeah.
You need to control that. So 3 months and 10 days have passed. Now you're separated. 6 months later, both of you have decided that, you know what, we made a mistake. We're going to get married again. We're going to get back together again. You can do. When you get married again, you have to pay a new mahar, new hak mahar, and new nikah, new witnesses.
Okay.
All right. Now that's done. You're married again. Now it is your second nikah. If you go through the process again and give a talaq, that is classified as your second talaq.
Okay.
That's what people don't understand.
Yeah.
That is now your second talaq, not because it's a second nikah. And if you did that again, that'll be the third nikah, and that'll be the third talaq, and that's it. You can't marry that person again. If you did that properly, you'd never want to remarry that same person again anyway.
So what happens if after the third marriage, divorce is done, right? And the guy then realizes, or she realize that they want to get back together again.
What in your eyes? What's the third divorce?
After you said, the separation, the gap, and all that they've done, then they go through the second talaq, right?
Nikah. Nikah and then talaq.
Yeah. So basically, once they're separated completely.
If you've married the same woman 3 times, and you've given her a divorce 3 times, and then there is something wrong with you mentally. Would you really want to get married again like that?
Exactly, yeah, that's the point.
And if you did, then you can't. Then basically, if she by accident gets married somewhere else, and then by accident she ends up in a divorce, and you decided to remarry, you could do that, but it doesn't happen.
So, okay, just say everything's done and dusted now, right? You've separated, and then a few years they'll go down the road, and you feel like, oh no, we made a mistake, right? You can't marry that person again, can you? She has to marry somebody else.
If you've divorced her, if you've basically had 3 nikahs with her and you've given her talaq 3 times, so the first nikah is broken, second nikah is broken, third nikah is broken, why would you want to remarry her?
Okay, say
Why would she want to remarry you?
Yeah, say okay, first talaq's done, right? You can get back together after so many months, obviously with the monthly cycle and everything adding on, right? And you do another nikah. Okay, say you don't want to do another nikah, right? She marries somebody else, and then a few years go down the road, she divorces him. Can they get back together?
Yeah, they can, yeah.
Basically, a fresh nikah again.
Yeah, fresh nikah again.
Okay, that's answer for that question. Now for women, correct way of getting divorced.
The correct
First of all, she can get divorced, can't she?
She can get divorced. There is the right way. Basically, what happens is that when a woman is asking for a talaq or a khula, she requests a khula, which it means dissolving of the marriage.
Okay.
So that's different to talaq. Talaq is issued by the man. In English, there's only one word. It's called divorce.
Yeah.
In Arabic, there's 3 words. There's fasq nikah, there's khula, and there's talaq.
Yeah.
First of all, the talaq is issued by the man. So you know when somebody says this is talaq shuda, or this person is gone through talaq, you know the man has issued it. If we say that she's applied for khula, that means the man is refusing to give her talaq. That's why she's applied for the khula.
Yeah.
All right. Otherwise, there'd be no need for her to apply for a khula. And men, if they know hand on heart the marriage is broken down beyond reconciliation, then why are they withholding the divorce? They should give the talaq.
True. So basically, she's allowed. She has to go through the. You guys do that as well, don't you?
Yeah, but
You don't do that,
that's not the point. The point isn't that she can go through any imam, she can go through any masjid, she can go through her guardians, she can go through her father, her brothers, her siblings.
Okay.
Anyone can apply for the khula for her on her behalf.
I thought it was.
They don't need to go to any Sharia council. They don't need to. If they know the process, they know the proper procedure, they can do it through their local masjid. They can do it through their guardians. They can do it through their own brothers and sisters.
Right. So that's divorce is done. As marriage is done, I think we should wrap it up now.
Inshallah.
Because we've done a lot of questions. And thank you for coming on again.
No problem at all.
I definitely learned a lot this time.
Jazakallah
I
khair.
hope you guys have learned this as well. This is it for today, guys. And one last message I want to say is look after your parents. Keep visiting them if you're not living with them. And keep making them smile. That's very important, right? Trust me, if you make them smile, it makes your day go perfect. Mostly life, right? And if they're not around you, just do a dua for him and visit the grave whenever you can. And that's it from me today. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you've learned something. I know I have. But would you like to say the last words?
Yeah, as usual, everything that I've said today, if it was good, it's come from Allah. If it's not so good, it's come from myself, and I pray that you can forgive me for that. And until next time, wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Keep us in your du'as.
Like you said, guys, see you in the next one. Allah Hafiz.